Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Ziegler. I own a company called Easy Diagnostic Solutions, which is a mobile diagnostics programming and calibration company located in central Illinois. We service between 500 and 600 repair shops in 22 or 23 counties in Illinois. Like many technicians, I started at the lower rung. I've never had high school auto mechanics as far as formalized training. I started out pushing a broom in a rather progressive shop and just kind of like a punching bag, never left the industry. And I often tell people my career was changed in the early 90s when I saw a great trainer by the name of John Thornton. And I walked away from that evening just absolutely mind blown purple smoke with having just met somebody who had such an insatiable passion for teaching and making the very complex seem understandable. And John was a mobile diagnostician in Chicago, and I started to emulate that in my affairs. Started out doing programming and tough diags for repair shops, which I kind of did in my daily affairs. And I started accumulating tools, and people would ask me to program modules. And I formed a corporation, Easy Diagnostic Solutions, about 18, 19 years ago. So I'm kind of the OG of mobile diagnostics and programming. And throughout the years, that is all ended up morphing into my full-time gig. I now have myself and three other very talented associates that work with me, and we do a lot of collision work now. So we have morphed from going into, I've got this weird, variable valve timing code, to a lot of the latest technology when it comes to the ADA system. So we do a lot of that work. But somewhere along the line, I'm guessing probably about 2010, somebody asked me to, it was Scott with the Driveability guys, asked me to come aboard and be an associate trainer with them. Shortly after that, I was honored to be added to Automotive Seminars training, and became an associate trainer for WorldPack right before the wonderful STX Expo that they had in Orlando, Florida. But what my classes have always been about, partially, I suppose, because I've had no pedigree in curriculum development or secondary education in regard to the subject matter, they've all been about a common sense, logical approach to being able to work on things that sometimes we know nothing or very little about. And my days are filled with that, because we work on 21, 22, 23 vehicles daily. So there's always, to me, the easiest way to do it. I'm a dyslexic individual. So if I get ASCCA, I just did it correct. I really want to appreciate everybody coming out to see me. We're going to do 3 different classes. The one is going to be my essential diagnostics class, which is going to set forth a logical and systematic pattern to be able to diagnose cars. We're going to follow that up. There's going to be a fuel trim class, which very much works in conjunction with the essential diagnostics class, to where we're going to use fuel trims as a valuable scan tool PID to be able to gain an insight of what the PCM's correction is to the fuel delivery to the engine. So in other words, a shortcut is the engine being fueled, and how well does the PCM control that fueling of the engine? And we are also going to do our introductory to ADAS class, which I'm also passionate about, because it's what we do day in and day out. It is something that is become a very hot button topic for a lot of shops. It's not just collision work anymore. So if you're doing suspension components, things like that, where you're changing ride height, you put a headlight in a late model Toyota where you're removing the bumper cover. To do that job correctly, you have to calibrate the millimeter wave radar. So it's about discussing some of these options that are going to be new revenue streams for shops, and procedures that technicians will also need to know. And looking forward, that's kind of the way things are going. I started out in carburetors and distributors, and I'm sure Mr. Hobbs can relate to those days. And nowadays we are just a cusp away from, high level 3 autonomy, level 4 autonomy cars that are actually going to be able to function and drive by themselves. So everything in my classes, I think, is a common sense approach with a logical background to it. I always say I'm every technician's technician. I'm just a guy who's just worked on cars for a long time, and somewhere somebody decided I had a big mouth and like to share my passion. My passion isn't for so much, the management side, but it is for technician training. So I'd appreciate anybody coming out to join me. I'm super excited about coming to Southern California, and I'm really appreciative for ASCCA for having me, and WorldPack for sponsoring me.